So let's take a few moments to come up with some proper department codes for these products. Now, in general, these products are divided up into looks like several groups here. These are all men's related goods. Looks like we have some women's related goods here and accessories. Okay, so maybe for my department level, I can start there. For example, I might have men's as a department, women's as a department, and also have some accessories down here. That's a good broad category, which is what the department is used for. Now let's talk about the class. So for this one, let's take a closer look. So it looks like I have men's and women's goods. What are there anything in common? So it looks like there's clothing here, men's clothing. Also have women's clothing. So maybe that's a good class. So I'll use CLT for clothing. And I'm going to do class down here. I'm sorry, subclass down here. Let's break that down some more. So of the clothing, is there another level below clothing, below men's clothing and women's clothing that I would like to break out? So for example, looks like I see sweaters here, a men's sweater there, some women's sweaters. There's another men's sweater. Here's a men's t-shirt. There's no women's t-shirt, but we can do that. So we can do, let's say, sweater. So we have men's clothing sweater as one DCS code. I have women's clothing sweater, but also we have some t-shirts here. So I have men's clothing t-shirt. So if I want to report against, clothing in the future, whether men's or women's, I can get that information quite easily. But also I can capture information about sweaters quite easily as well if I wanted to in the future. Okay, so what else do these two groups have in common, the men's merchandise and the women's? Looks like I see some equipment here. So maybe that would be another class, equipment. So for example, I have basketball equipment on both sides. I have, looks like some baseball gloves here, baseball, football, right? Here's another softball. So maybe those would all be good subclasses. So under equipment, I have men's basketball, right? Looks like I have men's baseball. Now notice that basketball and baseball both pretty much begin with the same letters. Now I can't have this, of course. They're not unique enough. So maybe for basketball, I'll do this. I'll do BAK for basketball, and for baseball, I'll do BAS. Okay, as long as they're unique. So in the future, when I report against basketball goods, I'll use BAK, and for baseball related merchandise, I'll use BAS, right? And it looks like I see men's equipment football related stuff. And on the women's side, I have basketball as well, but it looks like I have softball here. So maybe we'll do this for softball. All right. So already my subclass is growing pretty fast here. And it looks like the next broad category here for men's and women's happens to be shoes. So maybe we'll have a class called shoes. And let's see what they have here. Looks like we got some football shoes up here and soccer shoes. So maybe we have football, but I already have football here as it relates to equipment, so I can use that for men's shoes, football, right? And also have basketball, men's or women's shoes, basketball already. But I don't have any soccer, so maybe I'll use soccer shoes. And also I see running shoes here as well, and maybe even some cross trainers, right? Maybe I'll use that for cross trainers. What else? Looks like I have some dress shoes on both sides. Okay. And looks like sandals as well. So I have men's shoes, soccer, women's shoes, soccer, men's shoes, dress, women's shoes, dress as well. I see. Men's and women's runners, running shoes. Good. So now let's see here. Is there anything else? Looks like I pretty much have department codes, good department codes that cover all the men's and women's related merchandise. What about these accessories? So it looks like we have accessories as a broad category, but we have glasses. So maybe, glasses here. Looks like we have bags. Oops, I can't use 4 characters. The most I can use is 3 characters per tier. Um, and I'll lump these bags, maybe the bags I can lump into backpacks, right? Okay, I haven't used BAC, so I can say accessory bag and backpacks. I can also, looks like we have some duffel bags, so I can say accessory bag, duffel bags, DUF. And that should cover it. Looks like we have some belts as well, so maybe accessories and then belts. And we have socks. Now for the socks, looks like we have only athletic socks, so we'll just lump it under all together as socks. So accessory socks. So as you can see, for just a very small number of items here, just as an illustration, we came up with some pretty good department codes here. So each combination of the department, the class, and the subclass would form one DCS code, right? Again, that would be things like men's clothing sweaters versus women's clothing sweater versus men's equipment basketball or women's equipment basketball. So just from this small number of departments, classes, and subclasses, I can come up with some really good department codes. So that's it. That's a quick little discussion about how to properly develop department codes. Of course, in the real world, this would take a tremendous amount of time. You really want to sit down with your business user, with your retailer, and decide what department codes would work for them. And that could be a several day project, several weeks project. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure those department codes adequately reflect the items that they want to report against in the future.